What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece episode 1134. So in this one, so it continues back with the Kuma flashback. So the world government has learned about Vegapunk making a deal with Kuma in order to, heal Bonnie, and basically how so Saturn, so Saint Saturn, he sends Kizaru there, and then basically Vegapunk calls him Borsalino because I guess he's known Kizaru for a while. So Saturn gives some conditions for basically Bonnie being cured. One of them is for Kuma to join the seven warlords of the sea, since there's a vacancy after Ace defeated one of them. Um, yeah, R.I.P. Ace. And then let's see, and basically the reason I wonder is because if they have some random pirate who's publicly known as a tyrant be the basis for a clone army, that doesn't look good for world government. So if he's a warlord, it just looks better, basically. Now, part of it, since due to Kuma's past with the Revolutionary Army, basically there are conditions that basically his free will's taken away. He's turned into a mindless robot. Vegapunk first doesn't want to do it because that would basically be killing Kuma. But Kuma says he'll do it to save Bonnie. And basically, our one is basically that Bonnie would be basically a hostage. However, so it's basically so we see so 6 months after healing, so Bonnie's basically healed, but she has to stay inside for years. So Kuma takes her to Sorbet, where she stays there under the supervision of Cyberpol. Like there's a Cyberpol agent who pretends to be a nurse to watch over her, and so basically like she has to stay inside for like a year, and then until the 2 year, and basically she be basically a hostage until Kuma finishes the 2 years of so yeah, half a year of you know medical care, a year of staying indoors, I guess, before she's completely cured, and then another half year for Kuma to finish his transition to becoming a cyborg. And so yeah, basically this goes through that, like the 6 month time jump, and then starting of the year. And yeah, basically, and Kuma's like, I'll do what y'all want. I just want to say Bonnie. He's like, he won't, and basically, Kuma is not allowed to see Bonnie ever again. That's one of the conditions. He says it's fine as long as she's safe. I don't care. And so he's happy he's able to fulfill the promise of healing her before her 10th birthday, and she asked for the Bonnie to never be told the truth about her illness, which Saturn agrees to. And he agrees to her being sorbet. He's like, look, it doesn't matter where she's at as long as she's under supervision. So yeah, I really like this episode. Dude, Kuma is just awesome. Like he's awesome. Like he has a very good chance of winning best supporting character in an anime right now. Like in next year's anime awards, uh, Bartholomew Kuma should probably win it for how he's portrayed in this flashback. Like, and I knew going this year that when we get the Kuma flashback, that was going to be a high possibility that Kuma would be a very strong contender for best supporting character in the anime awards. And honestly, I'd probably say he should win it. So yeah, I really like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. One Piece chapter 1153. So in this one, we see Harald's backstory. It's something that he grew up with Dorian and Bragi. They all grew up together. Then we see Harald's crew coming across this giant named Ida, who I guess was a circus attraction for humans. He thinks that Harald assumes she's a captive, and basically Harald looks down on anyone that's not a giant because they're all smaller than him. And so it's revealed that basically it was all an act. And Ida's like, "Hey, these people helped me." She slaps him, which shocks everyone, and then basically they all agree. So she convinces Harald you know, to apologize, and that convinces Harald to start, I guess, interacting more positively with non-giants. That at least more like diplomacy. Now the world government causes problems. He prefers nations to have their own say, and I guess how to just talk with other countries. And then so we see that he and Nita they have a kid, Hydrogen. Now Harald wanted to marry Ida, but the elders forbade him. Do something that I guess her blood's not pure, so they can't get married. But he says he basically says he that basically so Hadrian and Ida, I guess they're allowed to stay on the island of Elbath, but basically I guess Hadrian can't be the heir and Harald can't marry Ida. There's not and so his betrothed is Estrid from Brewer's Village, who's I guess who has pure blood. She has some ancient blood in her, and then basically so that's who Harald marries, and the new queen is she's not a nice person at all. She's like the evil basically she is not nice. Basically and so Harald's trying to do diplomacy, talk with other nations, tells people he meets, about his time, when he met the Fishman, and I guess it was around when Neptune was a newborn. Which that's interesting. Like, huh. Yeah, so then there's a flash forward to 63 years before the Elbaf arc in the manga, like the current day. Loki's born, so Loki's 63. Um, Hydrogen is 81. So Hydrogen is 18 years older than Loki. And then, so Estrid sees Loki's appearance. You see, these something with the eye. Like, he has, the horn, the same horns that, Harald has. But then there's something with his eyes. Basically, it's almost like they're like snake eyes or something. And Estrid is scared, saying she's like, that's no son of mine. That's a monster or something. And she tells Cernus to tell the people that the baby was stillborn, calls monster, and she throws the baby down to the underworld. And basically, see the baby cry, baby Loki crying as him being rejected by his mother. Because one of the words says, "Most unfortunate of all living creatures is the one whose very existence is denied by its mother in the moment of its birth." I mean, that's dark. That is freaking evil. And then basically, Estrid wants to like go back to her home. She doesn't want to have another child. And then she's warned of, I guess some guards said something about and there's something about having the underworld. And it's revealed to be Loki's, I guess, trying to climb up. And then Estrid got sick or something. And then it's revealed there's a prophecy about Harald being killed by his own son. You know, yeah. I guess like no one knows how to look, and then what is stated at the end of the chapter is that, and so basically Hydrogen doesn't acknowledge Loki as his brother because they don't have the same mother. Like he says, he's not your son, so he's not my brother. So I'm like, he's mad, I guess, about how Astrid has, I guess, treated them, and then and then it's shown at the end. It says all the misfortunes that would fall upon Elbaf would be known as Loki's curse. So basically, what Astrid did by throwing Loki into the underworld, that caused a bunch of bad stuff to happen, and that's why it's called Loki's curse. So that leads to I get so this is a very fast-paced flashback compared to some other ones. Like unless there's gonna be a bunch of stuff with like the this chap like with the I guess the Loki stuff. Like this is like this could be a pretty quick flashback. Like the Kumo one was like 10 chapters, I think. The Odin one was like I think around 10 chapters. Like those were like this one. This may be quicker than that. This may be like half the length of that because it's just I guess like I guess they don't need to get into everything with Harald's backstory. They just want to get into hey what happened to cause him to die? What led to his death? And so that's gonna be a big thing. Estrid, I'm guessing, is dead. Like I don't recall Estrid ever being mentioned, so she's probably dead. That's just my says she fell ill. I don't think they would mention that unless it meant something. So she's probably dead at this point in the present time. By this point, she's dead. But yeah, so I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. News Exorcist, chapter 104. So I guess the kid has grown to like a small version of New that calls itself Yazora. Now, it refers to himself, the child refers to herself as we, so like Venom or something. And then we see Gakuro fight Heichi again, and Yazora's not able to be controlled. Like she wants to like I guess like, to for existence to be acknowledged, she wants to just defeat Heichi, but Gakuro doesn't want to cause unnecessary damage, doesn't want to hurt anyone, and so, like hurt any of his teammates. And then so basically the Heichi like win. Like basically the vic like so the fight doesn't it ends like with like so reason is so before we see Yuzora acting very like unruly like there's like a whole banter like argument between her and Yu that's actually pretty funny. Like they're both mocking each other because their personality is so similar, so they basically like don't like each other, and it's actually pretty funny. So then, okay, now let's just focus on training, which I liked. Now everyone tries to act like the wants to be the mother, and Sin. So like it's so funny, like this. So then, basically, like dude tells Gawker that he's still the parent, so he has to control the kid. Now the Yuzora, the kid says, "No, I'm the parent." She's like, "I'm in control." Yeah, and so she wants victory at all costs, so she wants to give Gakuro energy, which involves kissing him, which is weird for something that he's supposed to parent for like it's just weird. Like I was like, oh, is it turning to Game of Thrones? Yeah. And then she says she's the parent. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be some weird thing. And I was like, what the frick? And so yeah, that leads to how the fight gets so uncontrollable. And then you basically how what happens. So Gaku's able to gain control when he tells her to stop, like just yells at her, and she turns into like a small black cat. And then basically it's almost like I guess the cat forms like an immediate shut off. Then in bed, and so the kid like Gakuro hates why did you do all that? Basically, Zora says she wanted to win no matter what, and basically her existence could be acknowledged. And God was like, "Hey, you can't harm people. We're here to protect people." And God was like, "Hey, look." And he's like, "Hey, look, I'll help." He's like, "Hey, look, I'll help you get strong. Look, let's get stronger to defeat to get stronger than you, so we can defeat the Hio and all that." And then Yozora starts disrobing and tells Gakuro to disrobe. Basically, Yozora says she's supplying Gakuro with energy, and I guess she says they're gonna do that in a more efficient way. Um, yeah, which means that I guess the way of supplying energy is through uh they get to know it's through sex. Yeah, what the frick? I did not expect to read this in a panel in a manga in a shonen manga. I was like, oh, I mean, yes, a lot of shonen series can get pretty serious serious and stuff, but I'm like, how old is technically the kid in human years? Yeah. So and then yeah, so Gakuro, I guess starts disrobing, and then uh yeah, oh my gosh. This is and yeah, this is just whew, yeah. And then I believe it's like Shiroha uh comes in and then well or yeah, that's just oof. I don't know what to say of this. Like it's freaking weird. It is freaking weird. So yeah, I don't know what to say to this. So yeah, overall, I thought the train stuff was cool. The some of the scenes got a little weird, and I'm sure there's some discussion. There's gonna be some discussion about that, and I'm sure Shiroha's not gonna be happy about what she saw. I think that was Shiroha. Also, it's hard to get her and the other one. It's easy to get them confused. But yeah. Overall, this was definitely a better chapter than a lot of the more recent ones. Just from a quality standpoint, now it's definitely the weirdest one due to obvious reasons. And yeah, you know, pretty sure parenting a child means saying no to that. So Gakuro should have said no and said, "Hey, no, I'm the parent. You do what I say. This ain't happening." So that's what should have happened. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent chapter. Elusive Samurai, chapter 209. So in this one, Gemba and Natsu, from they steal from Ogasawara's camp. One and basically, with all those villagers that Gimba knew, and so they use all these disguise some of Gimba's masks to help out. Like Gimba actually disguises as Ogasawara's father briefly to distract him. And yeah, they're basically able to easily steal all that. And, they escape, they steal all the bunch of the money, and then yeah, and so they all drink to celebrate, and then Natsu asked if she could see Gimba's real face, and then Gimba pulls off his mask, and she's like, "Wait, what? That's not it." And then she leaves. Then Gimba reveals that that mask he had on was another mask. So somewhat basic. He somewhat pulled a Kakashi. He's like, Do you want to know what's under the mask? A slightly lighter mask." So we see like some of Gimba's real face. Now he doesn't have some of the like scars or whatever, or dirt marks, whatever, from like a previous chapter. To me, I completely forgot about that when Gimba's face was shown. So then there's like I guess some monologue, I guess by a narrator saying that legend tells of army of fox spirits, basically that led by Gimba Nojo and a member named Onatsu, and basically they would steal stuff, and then they say that historians, I guess, do theorize that Genba Nojo did exist and supported the Hojo clan and Muneyoshi Shino, and then served as the basis for the legend of Genba. And apparently, Shiojiri City has something called the Genba Festival, and that happens every year. But there's ever in collaboration with the Elusive Samurai series, and in that there's like a panel of I guess it was showing Genba taking a really large crap, and they blur. You could tell it's poop, but they like pixelate it like the poop. I was like, okay. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Good, chapter that doesn't have like Tokiyuki in it. It's just Gemba being Gemba, which is great because Gemba is awesome. So yeah, overall, I like this chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi Chapter 84. So in this one, Chihiro continues his fight against Samura, tries to convince him to surrender, I guess, so that, he can use the intent to destroy the Shinichi. Samura says that's wishful thinking. He won't go, he wants to go on with his plan. So they keep fighting, and the visuals for that fight are just freaking awesome. Like, it is a fight. Then the Masumi, like, arrive to help out because I guess some of their powers allow them to evade Samura's detection techniques. And then basically, what Samura is told by the Masumi is that he's afraid to see a future with him living. And then basically like Somra's like he knows what because he knows like some of the hardships his family dealt with, and he doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want his family dealing with hardships. So like he's able to just fight off everyone. And then Chihiro like his and Samura's swords clash, and it looks like based on the visuals that the intent is might be starting to cut through. So implying that the fight's going to end very soon, and that if he's able to, if the intent is able to cut the tobium, then then that could affect things. That could affect how Sama reacts. I mean, he might surrender then if the tobium's gone. He might say, "Well, I can't do anything with my sword, so I guess I surrender." Or he may just let it pass and might back down and try to live with take care of his daughter. But yeah, overall, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Chapter 50. So in this one, Sakaki, like his attack, like the time's about to run out, and he his like I guess medium tells him to like basically kill Yuda, like he doesn't, and so it's when he doesn't attack Yuda. Basically, he lets himself uh he lets Yuda attack him, and Yuda asks why, and then Sakaki says that he can't kill he couldn't kill his, as he calls him, his adorable little junior. And he says he's an exorcist and he only exorcises demons, and he calls Yuda a human. And then Yuda asks why he doesn't give up. So he says he's a gambler and he's not gonna back down if he's gone all in. And Saki's like passed out dead or something. And then the demon, then like one of the guess Demon Lord's like I can't remember his name, but like congratulates Yuda and says, well, he's glad to be able to use Sakaki as raw material. But then Yuda, I guess, crushes the guy's head and then like defeats him like one hand. And then Yuda like was saying he was ready to die and he would be fine if Sakaki killed him. And he says that he was sorry. And then he starts crying. Then he's almost like he feels like then he starts trying to heal Sakaki and asks for the sister to give him strength. And Sakaki wakes up and he realizes that he's healed and he asks where Yuda's at. Then you just see smoke coming out from a silhouette. That's all he sees. Looks like Yuda's dead. Looks like Yuda is dead. So basically, that seems to be how that fight ended. So yeah, Yuda, I guess, sacrificed himself to save Sakaki. Looks like it's what happened. Next chapter, we should probably know exactly if that is what happened. But looks like that's what happened. Yeah, overall, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapter 40. So in this one, so the kingdom is renamed to Kagami after the royal family's last name. So Richiya and Gokuraku's father cedes the throne to Richiya. And then, so Gokuraku, he's banished, so he couldn't necessarily be there. And so Ichi talks to him, asks him to come along with him if he can't actually live if he's technically banished from the country. You know, Gokuraku says he can't because he even though he's banished, he can't abandon his family with all the stuff going on. So Ichi's like, okay, won't stop you, but he's obviously sad about that. So Descaras scolds him for not staying in the infirmary, I guess. It basically said it'll cause problems for Bex. And then, but, and basically, and Ichi tells Descaras that, hey, he's not going to try to change how he feels. Yeah, and then basically, because there was a prophecy that they'll gain an ally, and then we see Gokuraku in his room, and, he, lost his arm. And then he remembers the witches say something about they have like some medicines, I guess that could help with that. And then and he says no, he can't because he already asked the witch association for a lot. And it's like he would go if he could, but he can't. Then we see Richia enter his room. So who knows? Well, I'm guessing. Who knows? Maybe that's a hint that I guess Richie is going to tell him to go with it. tell Gokuro to go with Ichi and Descaras on their journey. That's supposed to set, which makes sense. So yeah, maybe they're gonna have a talk, and Richie say, "Hey, they'll handle it. They'll be fine. Go with Ichi." That's what I'm bet's gonna happen. But who knows? But overall, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Beethoven, Chapter 20. So this one, Beethoven talks to Yaso, challenges him to like surpass him, and this is where everyone's like, "Who the heck is this guy?" And then so we see Beethoven like play his new symphony from everyone. Everyone's like, "What the frick is this?" And then you hear one of the people like yell to not let Beethoven play the piano because his existence is already throwing the world to chaos. And then Yasu's like, "Whatever, play." So Beethoven plays and just rocks, and like everyone is impressed. So then there's someone named Mr. F who like I guess sees a video of Beethoven playing, and saying is like, "Oh, that's where Beethoven was." So it's not explained who that is exactly. Then like some woman's crying with like a ring, like possibly could be like like some connection to Beethoven. Maybe like the old guy was like maybe Beethoven's Beethoven's descendant or something. And that's really it. So it's like so this seems like this is an end to like an arc and not a series. And so this is the last chapter. And yeah, I mean it was a good chapter, but I think like with Embers, this ended way too soon. Like I feel like it could have gone a little longer. Maybe like with another arc to explain everything with like I guess to those who are searching for Beethoven, as we deal with it, figure out okay exactly why were they searching for him, like what exactly was going on. It seems like it looks like maybe that old guy was a descendant of Beethoven. That possibly is what happened. And if we got more, maybe we would have gotten some answers. But I guess they decided to end it at 20 with the performance. And I was like, I mean, with what we got, I thought it was fine. I think it ended way too soon. I would have liked to see more of this series, but overall, what we got was good. It was good. I mean, it's definitely a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it's a decent series. It was a decent series. This is a good chapter. But yeah, ended too soon, but what we got was fine. Go Go Loser Ranger, season 2, episode 12. So this is the season finale. So I'll also be reviewing the full season. And so with this one, you have Usukubo like trying to like she's struggling with everything because all the other cadets, and she fights all the bunch of other cadets. You know, she remembers like how, and basically one of them asks how why she saved them, and basically all the other cadets they're the only two various fights, so they're able to fight well. And basically, then she's told by Yakushi that she's not Yakushi's daughter. That basically, so Yuli Mierda, I think I pronounced it correctly, was the boss monster. So who Yakushi was with. In a very weakened state, she put herself inside, and she possessed Angel, and basically Yakushi was taking care of her until basically took Angel as his daughter until Yulimura would wake up. So the powers are to wake and like so yeah, Angel's like basically is like a random kid that that Yakushi found. And he basically tells me, look, I don't care, but you're just a vessel. I don't care, but I care about Yuli Merda. So that turns her against Yakushi. Then she helps Hisui, Fighter D, and all the Rangers against, Death Machia, or in the manga would say Death Messiah. Basically, so how and Chidori says for them to aim for the horns because so basically Yakushi was very devoted to how the characters were. Now he theorized some potential powers for Mechia or Death Messiah, but he also put the character's weaknesses. And in the original, and they acknowledge it. Yeah, at the Tokakatsu, like in the original show, Giant Keeper show, basically Death Messiah's weakness was the horns, and so he put the horns as like a loyal fan of the show. Faithful to Sword. Hey, I respect this guy for being faithful to Source Material. Let's not. But the guy, like, so they defeat him, and so they can't kill him. So Fighter D knocks him into like this prison that they trap him in. Basically, how they explain is that they're gonna keep him in there until he dies of starvation. So and basically, and basically Yakshi's like, fine, no more fighting. Like, fine. He asks Fire D if they could talk while they're in the prison. He's like, and so we see a flat, and then we see the real. So Pink Keeper Sesara Sakuraba basically gets in a coma after like all her injuries, so she's out for the count. Hibiki Sakurama, um, Double X, Shippo, who called himself so Shippo, since he's not a squad because no one wanted him, he called himself the White Keeper, and like so he joins the real Hibiki Sakurama, Double X, who leaves Petrola, and then and then the was that one like couple, like the very eccentric couple, like they basically I guess leave to, like as Hibiki says, reform I guess the fake Rangers, and that's supposed to hint at the Neo Rangers, which they're all part of, along with along with I think Agen was the guy's name, and then basically like yeah, and Agen, he was like the one who was in Blue Squadron. And one thing Agen does, he gets all the fighters to help save some of the humans by like having them like act as a bridge for the humans to evacuate. So basically, the fighters and the Rangers team up against Death Messiah. And that's how they're win. So yeah, it's definitely better pacing than a lot of the previous. So I finally caught, not fully with the manga with this part, like how far this with the end, but I've caught enough with like I've read enough of the this arc to show, yeah, they really screwed up the pacing. Like what we got was fine, like it was good. Like what we did get was good, but there were so many pacing problems. It's not like with Sword Online where the pacing was just terrible and crad from the beginning in the original source material. So they didn't have much choice in the anime. Whereas in this, they basically, I wouldn't call it full on Promise Neverland. It's not full. Now, two previous arc, now the school arc and the Greenkeeper arc. Yeah, there's some stuff they left out, like some flashbacks, some backstory stuff, and some scenes. It was kind of scenes you could get away with leaving out and not cause a bunch of problems. Some of it now, if I recall, I don't think they did like the stuff with Agen's house and his siblings that provides some context for when D fights him in the Greenkeeper arc, for like D's question about who, like if Agen seeks to eradicate all monsters. So now one thing that happens now is the Dragon Keepers are all seen as good now by the public. Now who knows about the fighters? Whether they're going to keep like the so yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Like how are we going to see the fighters? So yeah, and then once Yakushi, so what happens at the end? Once Yakushi dies, like Angel opens the door to let Fire D out, and she has I guess longer hair, so it's been a little while. And one thing that had happened, is Angel. She realizes that who she saw as Sakura was actually Fire D. She realizes it and falls for. She basically falls in love with Fire D. Fire D is a little weird. I don't think he understands that that's the case. Hisui does, and she like saved the flurry for later. And then so you know, I don't think anyone was is surprised about this. That of Angel falling for Fighter D, and I guess there's a possibility of Double X falling for the real Sakurama. It's a possibility. So, and then now Sesera Pinkkeeper realized that whoever the scarred man, but she realized that was actually the real Hibiki. I don't think she realized that the one she saw in Green Squadron's a fake. She's probably she may figure that out. I don't know if she has. That depends if she wakes up. Like it's impressive she's alive, honestly. But there's some pacing problems in this. But yeah, this is better pace, but I would have liked to see I think if they had paced this out better, maybe made this two cores instead of one, they could have done a lot. I think they could have done better and make this a full series. Like make this like two cores and then like fully flesh everything out. I think that I think that would have been better. Like I think that would have been a lot better. Like heck, like but yeah, yes, overall this season the pacing problems really hurt it because I've read enough the manga to notice all the pacing problems. Yeah, and so yeah, basically it's it's I'm gonna say the first two arcs were good. Those were really good. The rest of it, I would say the Monster Society arc, like that Monsters Rights group, that arc. Um, what we got was good, but there was a lot left out that and it really screwed the pacing. So I'm gonna say mid on that. So like it's not Promised Neverland bad. It is not Promised Neverland bad. I can't compare it to that. Promised Neverland season two is just oof. Yeah, but I'd say and one thing to where so the guy who transformed into Magadia, the anime shows it looks like makes it look like as if he's dead instead of just knocked out. Now, now let's assume if we get future seasons, will that stay? Or will they reveal as no, he was knocked out, he was just really injured, and he's alive? Because I do know, because I've tried to look into this a lot more. In the manga, he joins the Neo Rangers. Like he joins the Neo Ranger. He's one of those that joins the Neo Rangers. I'm not gonna reveal who else joins the Neo Rangers, but basically, it's freaking chaotic. From what I know, it's gonna get very chaotic if they do make season three, because apparently the manga it gets wild. From what I know about future arcs, the mangas gets wild, and if the anime continues, it will get wild. But yeah, but right now this is the last episode. Like who knows if we're gonna get season two after the negative reception people had to this last arc with the pacing. Yeah, I agree. I agree with all those criticisms. What we got was good, but they left so much out, and it did cause problems. So, hmm, like I'm gonna say it's overall this season. I would say would be like a 65 with the first two arcs being good and the last arc being like the the basically being very mid, like the bare minimum of being considered mid. So yeah, I would say it's like a 65% this season. Season one was like a, I would say season one was like a 75. So overall, like the show would be like a 70 right now, with just with both seasons. But yeah, overall, it's a good show. I hopefully when they make future seasons, they fix the pacing problems. Maybe because I remember it was in My Hero Academia. There was a scene they left out in the anime, and people like for that villain for the Meta Liberation Army arc. There was a scene they left out, and people were pissed that they left it out. So, but they included it back when they adapted the Paranormal Liberation War arc, where they just added it as a flashback. So they fixed it. Hopefully, they fix some of the problems with this arc. Some of the problems. I don't know if you can actually do that per se, but you can fix some things with future seasons, explain why the Magalia guy's alive, if they're going to keep him alive, or if they're just going to end the show right here. They might end it. I mean, animes very commonly end before the mangas do, and but hopefully they I would like to see more, and for to fix the mistakes, like actually fix the mistakes they made and improve, maybe make some things right, and yeah, that I mean overall mid season, but just due to a lot of the later pacing problems. But what we did get was decent. Nice Prison, Chapter 10. So in this one, Professor Prisoner decides to basically not end the brainwashing, and he reveals that Kasan is now a bolt. He didn't die because I guess it's like some backup thing. And so Press Prisoner agrees to fix Kasan and free everyone. So and then once he evacuates everyone, destroys the fake Ogikuo, but destroys his lab, so he's not able to fix Kasan now. So Mitsubishi leaves Kasan with him, and then Tara, Mitsubishi, and the clown prisoner they try to find a clue, and it's revealed Professor Prisoner was one of the five, I guess, prison gods, but he left to learn about what the super death row prisoners' plan is, which is to basically take over all the prisons in the world, then turn the entire Earth into a giant prison under his command. And so they start trying to. So Mitsubishi decides to figure out what's a clue to figure out what's exactly what is going on. So he thinks he knows that his family cell is nearby. So the clown like prisoner follows Mitsubishi and Tara. Then they come across the Dark Ball prisoner and Dark Ball and Chain Lady. And then yeah, so yeah, this was a setup, I guess, them dealing with another one of the five prison gods. And yeah, I thought it was an interesting chapter. It was a good chapter, you know, setting up for what's coming next and dealing with what the super death row prisoner is gonna do. Yeah, overall, I like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Odor of the Flame, Chapter 8. So in this one, Odor and Edupurka come across this dwarven village that's been taken over by the Ice Kingdom, and they meet this blacksmith named Syndra. So basically, they have to like Syndra helps them hide from the Ice Kingdom since you know the Ice Kingdom's looking for them because they heard there were humans there who were very powerful. So they hide, and then Odor and Filgia, the fire spirit, hear a voice from the Iron Spirit, which is like the spirit that's been frozen. Basically, it's the spirit of the village's forge, of the dwarven forge. Basically, within half a day, the Iron Spirit will die, and they have to save the Iron Spirit. And so then they start being prepared. They start preparing like they hide in like what's like a in like this heart of coal or something in order to like like in order to and they use Philgia's flames to like hide. So Oda prepares to like I guess help save the Iron Spirit, and that's what's being set up for the next chapter. So yeah, overall I like this chapter. I thought the stuffed doors was cool. The spirits. That was all very interesting. Yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Harukaze Mound Chapter 3. So in this one, Nagiharu continues pitching against Wakamori, and then, so, he's already got one strike, so down 0-1, the batter. And then, so the next one's a foul ball because Wakamori's starting to adjust. And then the third pitch, it's a swing and miss, but it curved up and hit Wakamori's head, like knocked the helmet off, which believe that's technically would have been considered a foul ball. Like I think it's like if you're hit by a pitch and swing, like it's believe that's a foul ball technically. I came here and Nagaharu's like, "Hey, what happened? You all right?" He's like, Walker was like, "Dude, I'm fine. Just hit my helmet." But he's shocked by how the pitching curved. Like it was a rising curveball, which because curveballs generally go down, but the way I guess Nagaharu's underhand throw is like which he had it's shown that he practiced it by skipping stones, see if he could skip it 30 times. And so Ibuki tries to explain the whole thing, and it's like so complicated. Everyone's like, "What the frick?" And then yeah, so basically Ibuki's trying to do is very unconventional. He wants to find ways to like Naruto can have different weapons with this type of pitching, and that is going to throw a lot of pitchers off during their first encounters, but even the powerhouses. And so you could get a bunch of outs within their first encounters, the first at bats. Now I don't know who the other and then other pitchers are, who their players, and then everyone's like, "All right, we'll take this guy." And Ibuki is like basically he's playing a lot of things out, and honestly, Ibuki could be the fan favorite for this series. He could be. I think for this, like he very much like Ibuki's awesome. He's awesome. Like he will be like if this is like becomes like a long. I don't think this is gonna be a long form series, but if it somehow is like a long series, like Ace of the Diamond or Haikyuu, this could be like a Ibuki could be a very much a standout character. But yeah, overall, then of course there's some looks like silhouettes, so it looks like some of the other players who have not showed up yet. Looks like next chapter we'll see the rest of the team, which I'm excited for, seeing what other pitchers because I'm not an expert in how Japan does soccer, but I'm pretty sure. But in America, you have multiple pitchers because of you can't throw the same pitcher every game. It's not like softball. They kind of been able to do that just due to how the substitution rules work. They can do that to a lesser extent. They can keep pitchers in like in the next game, like just the way substitution works. It's weird, but you know, I thought this was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Anakin Bros Chapter 1. So this is a new series by Suusha. So there's a character. So Nobunaga, he's grown up in his dormitory that where all these long distance runners live. Train for the Ekiden marathon. He grew up wanting to be a runner, but he doesn't want to fail because it embarrasses his parents, who are both coach. Who one of his parents is a coach, or basically they. So he's basically lived the dorm because basically it's calling for coaches and their spouses to live with, in the dormitory with the players. And so basically, this one guy mocks the team. He says, "Take it back." Says he'll run the race if you'll take it back. Guy's like, "Fine." So he trains and then beats the guy in the race. The guy apologizes, and then he decides. Nobu says he wants to run. Like he likes running and he wants to run, so I guess he's about to join like the track team and potentially compete in Ekiden. So yeah, overall, this is a decent start to the series. It's fine. I think decent start. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's like okay, it's a decent start. Like, and what did help Nobunai is that he's very good at concentrating. And I guess he was able to get into like almost like a flow state the way he was concentrating, so he could like was up able to like run very well. He was able to concentrate on other stuff, so when all his concentration abilities were applied to running, he basically entered a flow state. So that was interesting. And yeah, so overall, I liked this first chapter. It was fine, and look forward to the next one. Well, that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.